With the third pick of the 2026 MLB Draft, the Minnesota Twins select Vahn Laceky, a catcher from Georgia Tech.
Given for him here, earned and not given for Vahn Laceky. He was widely overlooked his senior year of high school. He busts it to become the starting catcher at the end of his freshman year at Georgia Tech. Jim, I love this. James Ramsey telling Danny Wexelman this is a 10-year starter.
No, you can see that. I mean, it's a tribute to Vahn Laceky. It's a tribute to Georgia Tech for getting him where he is today. First of many catchers we're going to see go today. Easily the best catcher in the draft. And you talk about tools for a catcher. It could be a plus hitter. It could be plus power. He runs well for a catcher. It would probably be close to plus speed if he didn't stay behind the plate. He's athletic enough to play third. He's getting better defensively. The broad receiving, the blocking, the arm strength, the makeup. I mean, this is as complete a package as you can find in a catcher. It kind of reminds me of a GT Real Muto kind of combination of where he can do everything behind the plate. You just don't see that very often.
No, you certainly don't. Harold, though, you've got to get a good look at Vahn. What can you tell us about him?
Well, I tell you what, it's an amazing position because there's not many African-American catchers. He's very rare. It's been since Charles Johnson and a while since we've had a big league catcher to this ability. And I was talking with D-Row earlier. I'm telling you, I watch him swing. I see Jordan Walker. I'm sorry.
I hear
He's
you.
that kind of an athlete.
Harold, he played all 9 positions one game. That's the type of athlete we're looking at right here.
Amazing. So Cole, what would you want from a catcher first starting off?
For me, I want to see how he receives the ball. What's his game plan, especially before the game. If he has the comfort and the confidence to come up to us and game plan and then work in between innings to keep the flow, that's a great catcher.
Last time the Minnesota Twins took a catcher in the first round, some guy named Joe Mauer.
Vahn Laceky is the best catching prospect in the 2026 draft and poised to join Jason Varitek, Matt Wieters, Joey Bart, and Kevin Parada as first-round backstops out of Georgia Tech. He's dramatically improved each season with the Yellow Jackets and won't last longer than the top 3 or 4 picks. Lackey's right-hand swing can get a little busy, but that doesn't prevent him from making consistent contact all field. He's extremely patient, rarely misses fastballs, and has the plus raw power to provide at least 20 homers on an annual basis. His flat stroke produces too much ground ball contact, but he's driving balls harder than ever and in the air a bit more often this spring. Extremely athletic for a 6'2", 215-pound catcher, Laceky isn't quick out of the batter's box, can flash plus run times once he gets going. He's very agile behind the plate, should become a solid receiver and blocker once he improves his focus and consistency. His strong and accurate arm is another asset, and he'll look capable at third base while playing 13 errorless games there in 2025.
With the 43rd pick of the 2026 MLB Draft, the Minnesota Twins select Carson Tinney, a catcher from Texas.
We love
Let's
it.
go.
All right. So a big one here, guys. Carson Tinney going to the Twins.
Yeah, you talk about big. He's got big power. He's 6'4", 240. I'm going to guess this clip is going to show him hitting a home run. Shocking there, home run. But he's got some of the best raw power in the entire class. It is power over hit. It is kind of arm over receive behind the plate. It's a really strong arm. Didn't hit great with wood bats in the Cape Cod League, but he transferred from Notre Dame to the SEC and came out and hit, I think it was 24 homers this year.
Yeah, I think Lance mentioned this earlier on the broadcast, but if you're a catcher who can stick at the position, you can live with someone who's not the best pure hitter in the world.
Yeah.
There is going to be some swing and miss, but it might be 80 grade raw power. The exit velocity data that he puts up stacks up with anyone in college baseball and really anyone in college baseball in the last few years.
Carson Tinney earned All-America honors as a Notre Dame sophomore last spring, while stamping himself as one of the top catching prospects for 2026. He stocked to hit when he batted 165 with a 40% strikeout rate in the Woodbat Cape Cod League, and then struggled during fall practice after transferring to Texas, but has rebounded with a strong junior season. Few players in this draft match his combination of raw power and arm strength. At 6'4" and 240 pounds, with a right-hand stroke geared to crush balls in the air to his pull side, Tinney is designed to hit home runs. He generates high-end exit velocities, but there are concerns about his hitting ability and how much of his double-plus raw pop he'll be able to get to in pro ball. He takes a lot of off-speed pitches for strikes and swings through a lot of offerings of all types in the zone, so he mitigates his excessive strikeouts with a healthy amount of walks. Tinney can flash well above average arm strength, but plays more as plus and needs to improve his transfer and the accuracy of his throws. He lacks quickness and agility behind the plate, though he's become a better receiver and framer this spring, and perhaps can become average in both regards. His best case scenario is he becomes a larger version of Hunter Goodman.
Minnesota Twins select Brett Renfrow, a right-handed pitcher from Virginia Tech. The Chicago Cubs have the next pick.
Yeah, Renfrow's an interesting one. He's a guy that I was asking for some kind of off-the-radar-ish back half college top 20 types, and I had one scouting director give me this name. It's just kind of an interesting mix of like high slot. Off that, he's able to throw like a pretty decent slider. It's in the 86 to 87 area. A bit of lift, bit of glove side to it. It does project to me right now as a major league slider as opposed to looking at a guy and going, we need to get the velo up here or get something else up here on him such that he becomes a bit more successful. Big strikes on the four seam you can see right there as well. And the chase is kind of emphasizing my point about what I was talking about in terms of the slider projection. Gives up a lot of fly balls. I had like a Simeon Woodsian kind of package, so to speak, in terms of the breaking balls. But another name that I think is a starting pitcher through and through. Twins pretty good at development. Just curious to see what they do with him.
I really like the fact that he made 15 starts all 3 seasons. He's thrown 220 plus innings in college. He's a proven innings eater. Just a really well-rounded arsenal with strikes.
From a size and pure stuff standpoint, Virginia Tech's Brett Renfrow's name belongs in the early rounds with some of the top college arms in the class. The 6'3" right-hander can run his fastball up to 97 miles per hour, sitting around 94, and it plays really well at the top of the zone. At times, Renfrow will show distinct upper 80s sliders and cutters, with the former featuring harder break with more depth than the shorter cutter, though they routinely blend together. He can fold in an 80-mile-per-hour 12-6 curve effectively and will flash a solid average mid-80s changeup, though he doesn't incorporate the cambio as frequently as his other offerings. While Renfrow has limited the walks this spring, it has been more control over command. When he's locked in, like he was in a late April start against North Carolina State, tossing 8 shutout innings and fanning 9, he misses bats with all of his repertoire. Often this year, however, he's missed with his fastball in the zone too much, and it's gotten hit. That's made him a bit of an enigma, with the ceiling perhaps being in the second round, where former Hokies right-hander Drew Hackenberg went in 2023, after a comparable inconsistent season.
The Minnesota Twins select Ethan Wachsmann, a right-handed pitcher from Grandview High School, Aurora, Colorado. The Pittsburgh Pirates have the next pick.
I mean, they're going to have to pay up for him right here. I do think he's a guy that has an incredibly high number. I don't think the Twins would be taking him, as Jim said earlier, unless they think they can match that number. He's committed to Wake Forest. The same with Boleman. If Wake Forest lose both of these guys, I do think they're going to be pretty disappointed. But this guy, to me, has some of the most incredible, raw traits, raw body ability from a fastball standpoint, slider standpoint, arm side fade standpoint. Super dynamic guy. I'm a bit surprised to see him taken just because I think his number is going to be really high, Carlos.
He was a buzzy name, and I'm kind of like Jack Slidham. We were thinking how much higher should we push him on our board? We tried to move him up. I almost regret where we have him now because the upside is dynamic. I think he's an overpowering fastball. There's the makings of a really impressive breaking ball as well. I also have talked to some people who don't know that he's fully incorporated his lower half. I think there are some mechanical tweaks to unlock even more, which feels crazy for a guy who's throwing as hard as he is already, but there's a ton of pure stuff here.
Coming out of the same Grandview High School program in Colorado that produced Kevin Gausman, Ethan Wachsmann is a 6'5" right-hander who can light up the radar gun, but is still a bit raw as a complete pitcher. He routinely gets his fastball up to 97 miles per hour and can comfortably sit in the mid-90s. He does have both a curve and a slider, with the former the better of his 2 breaking balls, occasionally flashing plus. That pitch was improving as the spring wore on, though evaluating his ability to spin the ball is still more projection than anything else. He'll flash a changeup that could be average in time to round out his arsenal. Like with a lot of prep throwers over pitchers, Wachsmann is control over command, with more of a fringy feel for the strike zone. Teams that are interested will be buying the arm strength and velocity to go along with the projectable and athletic frame. They'll also have to contend with a commitment to Wake Forest.
The 107th pick in of the draft, and the Minnesota Twins select Tommy LaPour, a right-handed pitcher from TCU. The Pittsburgh Pirates have the next pick.
Yeah, interesting arm here. The big thing that jumps out to me from a data standpoint is he has this really weird, lifted changeup. Kind of reminds me of the name you always come up with is Lucas Giolito, but there's another reliever for the Orioles, Rico Garcia, has a very similar shape. He just gets behind the ball so well, and it becomes like a velocity differential play, and it works really nicely. And it also works versus right-handed hitters, too, which is a little funky for a guy being a righty like this. So I imagine that's kind of the main trait they're drafting here. He did have a flexor strain. I think he only threw about 17 innings, so you're running into some, he gets healthy. Hopefully he projects it for a little bit more in that respect. But the changeup's really the pitcher that works.
Do you have much on his fastball? Because he's up to 101. It's 95, 98 to 101. But it's not as dominant. I've had reports the shape of command are just kind of ordinary, so it doesn't play like a 95 to 101 mile an hour fastball. But it's interesting.
Yeah, I would imagine that's partially due to the release. It's not really distinct. We're talking about other guys who are sub 5 feet or way up there. He's kind of just stock. But I agree with you in that respect.
Tommy LaPour is one of the most physical and hardest-throwing pitchers in the college class. He works at 95 to 98 miles an hour and reaches 101 with heavy sink on his fastball, though it's not as dominant as its velocity might indicate because its shape and command are ordinary. His mid-80 slider can be a plus pitch with two-plane depth at its best, though it breaks so much he struggles to land for strikes and rarely uses it when behind the count. His fading upraised changeup is a more reliable offering, and he also was tinkering with a low 90s cutter during fall practice. Built like a linebacker, LaPour has a physical 6'4" frame and has learned to repeat a simple delivery well enough to develop average control. His biggest proponents see a durable 3-pitch starter who could sneak into the first round. Other evaluators think he doesn't miss enough bats and may be better suited for the bullpen, where his bulldog mentality would fit nicely.
The Minnesota Twins select Steele Murdock, a right-handed pitcher from UC San Diego. Pittsburgh.
And Murdock sits around 92 to 95, but he can get some big extension on the fastball.
Yeah, he really can, and he showed it. There was an outing early against Jackson Flora. We heard his name, it feels days ago, but as a number 4 overall pick, where he struck out 17, and that got people running in to go see him. And you know, he didn't really back that up in the next outings after that, but it's power stuff. He'll touch as high as 99. You're right, he sits around 92 to 94. The slider's an out pitch. So at worst, I think fastball slider, you can put him in the pen. There's a changeup. He doesn't throw it all that often. The command is probably the biggest thing that points to a future as a reliever. He's walked over 5 per 9. But I think he's another one of these guys. Send him out, you let him start, and see what happens. Because you know you can always shorten a guy like that up in the bullpen once he gets into pro ball.
And it's the Pirates who are coming up next.
At his best, Steele Murdock is a strong power pitcher who can maintain his stuff deep into starts, one who could pitch with 2+ pitches at the next level. In his big 17 strikeout performance against Santa Barbara, he sat at 95 miles per hour and missed bats with the fastball. But while he's touched as high as 99, he typically sits around 92 to 94, and it gets squared up. The slider is typically a legit out pitch, an 84 to 85 mile per hour breaker that gets a ton of swings and misses along with chases. There's a mid-80s changeup in there, but he rarely goes to it, throwing his fastball breaker almost all of the time. More often than not, Murdock's lack of command, well over 5 walks per 9 in his college career, not to mention relatively low extension and effort in his delivery, leads to thoughts of reliever risk. A team interested in making him just the second Tritons pitcher to go in the top 5 rounds in over 50 years, joining Astros prospect Ryan Fukuchi, could send him out as a starter while remembering just how good he looked coming out of the pen as an all-star in the Cape Cod League.
The Minnesota Twins select Ethan Lay, a right-handed pitcher from Cal State Sacramento. Pittsburgh.
All right, Jonathan Lay, 2 seasons at Chico State, ends up at Cal State Sacramento, and 4 distinct pitch shapes.
Yeah, this is an interesting senior sign. You know, the Twins were going to save some money in all likelihood with this to pay for some of their high-end picks earlier in the draft. But it's not often you get a senior with a chance to be a starting pitcher. I think the Twins are really good at finding, you know, maybe some older guys who don't light up radar guns later in the draft and turn them into big leaguers who maybe fit into the back end of a rotation. It's, you know, 90 to 94. He's got a pair of breaking balls. I think the slider is a little bit better. It's kind of cutter-like. It can be hard. The changeup he doesn't use all that much. That's probably something he'll work on in the next level. And he's, you know, over 22, so we'll see if he can move a little more quickly. Limited ceiling, but interesting here as a senior sign in round 6.
The Minnesota Twins select Max Beyles, a right-handed pitcher from Santa Clara University. Pittsburgh.
So Beyles has a 3/4 slot that plays pretty well from San Diego. And out of Santa Clara, John.
Yeah, it's really all about his high spin slider more than anything else. It missed bats at a 50% clip this year at Santa Clara. He was their Friday night starter. He topped all WCC starters with his ERA at 2.54 and in batting average against. The slider is really good. The rest of his stuff is a little more pedestrian. It's a below-average fringy fastball that tops out at 94 without great release traits. There's a changeup. He doesn't throw it a lot. Probably a reliever.
A two-sport athlete who starred on the diamond and gridiron during his high school days, Max Beyles is now a pitcher only coming out of Santa Clara, whose best offering is by far his high-spin slider. The 6'3" right-hander throws the low 80s breaker more than his fastball. It features power and depth, eliciting a 50% miss rate this season, according to Synergy. He does tunnel it well with his fastball, making it even harder to pick up. His heater is much more pedestrian, a pitch that tops out at 94 miles per hour and sits around 91, but he struggles to command it with an over-the-top delivery that leads to poor release traits. He has a changeup that has a chance to be a decent third pitch, but he rarely throws it. The combination of his delivery and spotty command and control, he walked 4.6 per 9 in his college career, a rate that rose to 5.6 as a junior. Not to mention the lack of confidence in the third pitch, point to a future as a reliever for Beyles. A team could send him out as a starter and see if he can iron out some of those flaws, knowing that plus slider could look very good coming out of the bullpen.
The Minnesota Twins select Thomas Burns, a right-handed pitcher out of the University of Texas. Pittsburgh.
So Burns, he can get up to 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, no, it's one of the better fastballs in the draft. 6'3", 240, 95, 98, up to 100. And it's got good attributes besides just pure velocity. It's got riding action. It's an over-the-top arm slot, so it's a really difficult look. He lacks consistency with the control, so he's going to have to work on that. He has 16% walk rate in 3 college seasons. Upper 80s cutter is his second best pitch. It's a plus pitch when it's on, but he has trouble landing for strikes. Purely a reliever, but you have to love the arm strength with him.
Thomas Burns began his college career by headlining Arizona State's rotation before shoulder tendonitis ended his freshman season after 6 starts. He's operated out of Texas's bullpen the last 2 years, impressing with his fastball but never throwing enough strikes to lock down the closer's role. He recorded a 5.64 ERA this season despite striking out 42% of the batters he faced. Burns parks at 95 to 98 miles an hour and peaks at 100 with a fastball that plays even better than his velocity because of the riding action he creates coming out of a nearly over-the-top arm slot. His upper 80s cutter could be a plus pitch when it's on, but he almost never lands it for strikes, and it remains to be seen how effective it will be against pro hitters. His mid-80s changeup lacks life and often misses the zone so badly that it elicits few chases. The effort in Burns' deliveries result in a 16% walk rate in 3 college seasons. Though he's one of the more intriguing pure relievers in the draft and possesses an explosive fastball, it will be hard to trust him in high leverage situations unless he improves his well below average control and command. Few college pitchers can match his ability to get in zone swings and misses with 3 different pitches, but he has so much difficulty finding the zone.
The Minnesota Twins select JT Raab, a right-handed pitcher from Georgetown University. Pittsburgh.
As we look at JT Raab, 2 seasons at Stony Brook. He's from Long Island in Seaford. And Raab finishing out with Georgetown, 66 strikeouts.
The Twins select Kole Klecker, a right-handed pitcher from Arizona State University. Pittsburgh.
And so Klecker from Arizona State, 78 strikeouts, 69 innings pitched last year as the Twins take him with pick number 287.
I'm going to work on Klecker as well. Someone that tipped me off yesterday that he might go in day 2. I should have listened a little more closely. I had his name but no notes. So Klecker is all I've got right now is that he's a pitchability right-hander. So, another one of these guys who feel for pitching stuff doesn't jump off the page.